Hello, my name's Martin Webster from the New Leaf programme. I'm just going to talk about HMS therapy and client data sheets. Vitally important when you're working with a client, and also talk about the general data protection regulation that came out in 25th of May 2018. It's an EU law that you could find over 20 million euros or 4% of your turnover if you don't pay attention to. I'm just working with a practitioner at the moment. Annie's going to act as a client that I'm working with on Skype, or if I was working in a therapy room with. So straight away going straight into the client data sheets, because remember, if they were doing a 2-hour session, you want to get your sheets done as quickly as possible, because you want to client satisfaction. You know, you want them to get as much time with you working in the therapy, which is what we're here to do, not filling out forms. So first thing I do is, if I'm working with a client, and I'll send copies to all of you HMS therapists on this new sheet. First thing I'll do is the first name only, and I do that. I've been doing that for years now. I only want the first name. The only reason we're going to keep client data is if this client has, in a couple of days' time or a couple of weeks' time, some problems, then we can go back over this stuff and make sure that we don't go over old ground, and we're starting to go into different areas. So the first thing I do is ask for that client's name. So can you tell me your name, please?
Anne-Marie.
No, I just want. Oh yeah, so it's. I thought it was Annie.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So Annie, I'll just put her first name there, and the practitioner is M Webster, which is myself. Date is today is the 19th of July. The town, I'm just going to put Devon. So you just put the county that they live in or whatever, just so you've got a rough idea. So you're not, if you have worked for several clients and you're suddenly going back to a client, then you know who you're working with. You just make up a diagnosis for it. Have you been given a diagnosis of anything?
Depression.
Depression, brilliant. Thanks for that. And also be really respectful. You know, you might have done lots of therapy yourself, but for that person, asking these questions are going to create a lot of emotions and stuff like that. You know, asking them if they're on any meds, are you taking medications for that? Just say no. Just no. So no meds. If they are on meds, write those meds down there. I'm looking at probably taking that out. Depends on if I'm working with an institution or not. Epilepsy. Do you suffer from epilepsy? Yes or no?
No.
If they do say yes, it's down to you as a therapist where we decide to work with that. If you believe, if you're a master practitioner or a trainer and you feel that you've got so many years experience that you're quite comfortable working with epilepsy, then it's up to you. I've worked with epilepsy in the past and had some great results with, especially when I got them relaxed. Self-medicate. Do you self-medicate? Yes or no?
No.
Addiction problems?
No.
Carrying weapons? Yes or no?
No.
And shouldn't ask a lady her age, but your age.
42.
22. Supervisor is New Leaf programme. Martin Webster from the New Leaf programme. So put that in there, because I'm your supervisor, and also I'm your Gdpr data protection officer as well, which is on. I'll put that on the HMS therapy website. So I'm in charge of all the data for all you therapists out there. I'll be in charge of making sure training is done correctly, and that you're all singing off the same song sheet. So change day, we're going to have a 2-hour change session, so I just put CS in there. I've put S, which I put for as abbreviation for suicidal. Are you suicidal, yes or no?
No.
No. If they are, that's usually the first area that I go for when I'm working with a client, but she's because I want to make sure that sort of, if that brings up a lot of emotions and they start getting quite emotional, I wouldn't be going straight into the therapy, so I won't waste any time in that. Safety assessment, I feel safe working with Annie, but if you're a female working with a male on your own, make sure that if you're working at a therapy centre, that the person knows, you know, if you're not feeling comfortable, get a chaperone. Never work on it if you're not feeling safe. Never put yourself at risk doing this type of work. So Why would you like to experience HMS therapy, Annie?
Because I'd like to alleviate the depression.
Okay, brilliant. So write that down. What do you want to achieve from this 2-hour session?
To understand and eliminate whatever is the underlying cause of it.
And personal goal.
Yeah.
What would your personal goal like to be for the 2 hours? So this is really important because this is their motivator. What would you like to be a personal goal? What would you like to achieve in 2 hours?
To have identified and cleared away the underlying cause of the depression.
Yeah, brilliant. Sometimes it's really simple, like they just want to be happy or don't want to be depressed anymore. So just keep that in there. Keep the would. If you know, write exactly what they've said, because that's important information. Right, client notice. Okay, so this is the important bit now with the general data protection regulation. So all information is stored in a secure environment, i.e. in a container with a lock on it, for 1 month in case follow-up therapy is required. 2, no client data will be held on computer or electronically. We don't hold any of that stuff in. So make sure you destroy it after 1 month. As HMS therapists, shred it, burn it, but you make sure it's completely destroyed. And that's down to you as a practitioner to ensure that's done correctly. Number 3, you, the client, have the right to request this document to be destroyed after the therapy session. So after this therapy session, Annie, you have the right for me to destroy this in front of you, or you take it away with you and you destroy it. Okay?
Understood. Yeah.
For practitioner, keeps it only to help the client after therapy. The only reason I'm keeping this document is if you've got a few problems down the few weeks' time, it's my duty of care to ensure that I don't go over old ground and that we can sort of discover new areas. So I'm only keeping that sheet for that, and then I'm going to destroy it. Okay. 5, the client gets a duplicate. So as I'm going through this now, I'm going to be right at the end of the session. I'll be writing all this out, everything we've done. So you've got a complete duplicate copy, and I'll make sure it's written nicely so you can see exactly what's on the document. So you can take that away, and that's up to you. But you know that I'll be destroying this after 1 month. 6, anonymous feedback. We offer you an opt-in option. So at the end of it, you can sign an opt-in option if you want to share some anonymous testimonials. So we can help, and that will be used to promote HMS therapy online and to help other people get access to this therapy. And that's the only reason we do that. And it will be totally anonymous. Your treatment is confidential, and we will tell no one of your treatment without your consent. So only if a doctor, with your consent, if a doctor got in touch with us or the police got in touch with us, only with your consent would we allow, would we speak to them or allow this document to go to them. Number 9, please contact the therapist if you have any questions about your data. 10, your practitioner is trained in how to store data and goes through training while they're going through their practitioner training of how to store this data and how to destroy it as well. 11, HMS Therapy Data Protection Officer is Martin Webster. My number is 0745 089 5611 if you have any questions about your data. Either practitioner, either client agree to these terms and conditions. Get them to sign for it there and then. Sign you as a practitioner, get the client to sign for it, date it, and then you can start then going into the wheel of life and into the next part of the data sheet.